Okay, calling the meeting to order at 5:01. Ms. Ellinger, are there speakers looking to address the board?
No, there are not.
Can you say that slower so that I can wait till 5:02?
I can bear.
Seeing as there are none, we will adjourn to close at 5:02. Okay, we're reconvening from close at 6:19. We'll start with the flag salute. Join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 6, a report from closed. During closed session, the board conferred with the outside counsel and authorized litigation in one case. That is a report. Item number 7. Are there any changes? Superintendent DeGuara? Yes. Wrong thing again? You're on last week. Rewind. I checked earlier. Okay. Sorry, everyone. You're watching the sausage be made. Okay. That's why it felt weird. All right. I'm back. We're going to talk about speakers wishing to address the board. The board appreciates and supports stakeholder input in our meetings. Engagement by members of the public in civic matters is a cornerstone of our democracy. The board has established guidelines for its meetings so that we are able to conduct the meeting effectively and efficiently. Within those guidelines, members of the public have the opportunity to address the board. To submit a question or comment, speakers are asked to complete the speaker card by the start of the open session at 6:15-ish. If you have not already done so, you may see Ms. Ellinger for a speaker card at this time. During the meeting, speakers will be called upon to make their comment. If you're addressing the board on the agenda item, we will call on you to provide your comment before the board discusses that item on the agenda. If you're addressing the board on a non-agenda item, we will take those comments at this time. Please be aware that the provision of the Brown Act prohibit the board from acting on or discussing non-agenda item matters at this meeting. Public comment are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic. There will be a timer on the screen. Just know that as it approaches 3 minutes, I may have to interrupt you. I do so with love and respect. Ms. Ellinger, are there speakers wishing to address the board?
Yes, there are, President Bruno. So first we'll have Jessica Schmier speaking on athletics.
Is this on or do I have to touch anything? On, good to go. Okay, I'd like to start with the large disparity amongst Ralston, Sandpiper, and Nesbitt in athletics. I would like to paint a picture for you for 6th grade girls volleyball alone. This is not flag football or anything else. 6th grade girls volleyball at Ralston had over 40 girls, over 40, try out for volleyball. There are 3 teams at Ralston. Sandpiper and Nesbitt had to join because they couldn't form one individual at each school. To me, that is not fair to those at Sandpiper, and it is not fair to those at Nesbitt. Our daughter, we registered her for Ralston tryouts as we were still unsure if Dan was going to allow her to be transferred into Ralston. She made the A team. As last meeting, we showed you how important sports were to our daughter. She made the A team and had quite a, I don't know the right term to use, unfortunate issue with the Sandpiper athletic director and PE teacher. He was not thrilled that she tried out. He was not thrilled that he made it. He promised us that she would play for the 6th, 7th grade combo team. He promised us that she could play for the 8th grade team. What 6th grade girl would like to play with the 8th graders? She's young. She wants to play with the 6th graders amongst her peers, make friendships that can then last for 3 years. There is a huge opportunity and achievement gap amongst athletics amongst the 3 schools. I also, with athletics, would like to quote from Prop 28 for the music in 2024. When Dan quoted that if students were interested in music, then Ralston is where they will find a comprehensive music program. We don't want to limit our students by any sense. I think that certainly each middle school offers something a little bit different, and we have a track record of working with families to help them find the environment that is best for their kids. I will say that unfortunately, if children are interested in athletics, they should have the opportunity for Ralston, and they are not getting it. We luckily will be on the volleyball team, but we were told that we will not be on the basketball team. My daughter has every right, as well as the Sandpiper and Nesbit students. They all try out for one and then get dispersed amongst. There should be an A team for the district. There's not enough kids when there's only 36 children in the 6th grade class alone at Sandpiper and over 40 tried out at Ralston. The numbers are not in favor for Nesbit to thrive in athletics, and the numbers are not there for Sandpiper. And I would hope you would take that into consideration moving forward.
Thank you, Jessica. And next we have Nick Schmier speaking on first enrollment.
All right, to continue, we have obviously emails and multiple phone calls and many conversations made very clear 2 weeks ago with my conversation with Dan, that the doors closed on my daughter transferring to Ralston this year for one reason or another. All I can hope for now is that, unfortunately, someone leaves. Sorry, hopefully someone leaves. But I was also told the door's closing, if someone leaves, we're not going to fill that spot because we're over enrolled in the current 6th grade. I'm aware of the numbers. I also know the current 7th grade is sub 350, 340-ish, whatever, plus or minus, which then means next year, the 7th and 8th combined average to optimal enrollment, which then would hopefully allow my daughter to transfer in, but also then leads me to my son, who is currently in the 5th grade, not in the district. The only chance I have for him potentially to even get into Ralston is for me to have to pull him from his 5th grade school right now before January. So he is given the opportunity at first enrollment for Ralston. How does that make any sense? That a family, a parent has to pull their child out of the school they're in halfway through the year just for the opportunity to go to Ralston, and it's not even a guarantee. Which then leads me to, I know the current 5th grade is a lower number, not by much, but is a lower number. So if we do the math in 7th, 8th average to optimal, pretty clear that probably 95% of the current 5th graders can probably go to Ralston next year. I'm stuck on having to pull my kid out of his school with no guarantee of Ralston. You can imagine a parent's just struggle with this on whether or not it's the right thing. I know a couple of you have and had kids at Nesbit. They're not there for middle school, or they won't be, or who knows what. I don't want my kids at Nesbit for middle school. And the reason I say Nesbit is, unfortunately, I'm aware of the unofficial official plan for Sandpiper Middle School. It's a small world. I've been in Belmont for a long time. Word gets out. If that is phasing out, why are we fighting over this? Why are we fighting over transfers? Why is my daughter being argued over and fought for by the PE teacher when it's a moot point? It's going away. I just don't understand. I don't understand. So.
Okay, next we'll have Lisa Fahey from BRSFA.
Hi, guys. I'm sure you missed me since I didn't come to the last meeting, back to school night. I'm honored to step into my new role as president at BRSFA. I'd like to begin by acknowledging Barbara, who is such an incredible asset to our team and community. Unfortunately, like many of our educators in specialty roles are leaving our district for higher pay elsewhere. While that remains a challenge, that's not what I want to focus on tonight. I want to focus on the work ahead. Last year, we began sharing our glows and grows at board meetings, and I'd like to continue that practice. Having taught now at 2 sites in our district, I've seen firsthand how community and unity shape our work. The community at each school is strong and inspiring. Each site meets the needs of its students that are there in that unique way. No school is better than another, just different. That's the glow. Our schools reflect the communities that they currently serve. But the grow is that we lack unity across sites. Too often, schools are compared by their shortcomings instead of learning from one another's strengths. At Fox, for example, the principal has used site funds to begin a writing specialist that has partnered with Central. That collaboration is working well, but it's not something we see consistently across the district where sites are coming together to improve. Imagine if every site's strengths could support another site's need, just like when we pair students strategically during readers and writers so they can both grow. We should be doing the same across our schools, not to highlight the differences, but to lift each other up. As the saying goes, a rising tide lifts all boats. So that is my vision for this year, to raise the bar for the students, for the teachers, for our district as a whole, by sharing strengths, supporting one another, and striving for consistency so we can ensure that excellence is not limited to it, but spread across all of our sites to have a more thriving school community. Thank you.
All right, next we'll have Pamela Miller from BRSFA, speaking on ELA curriculum.
Good evening, and thank you. Pamela Miller, I'm the Vice President of BRSFA, and I teach 5th grade at Cipriani. And I'm going to piggyback on something Lisa said about writing and reading curriculum. So I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of teachers about the writing and reading curriculum. Many of our sites are still using Lucy Calkins materials for 4th and 5th grade. As you know, this has been widely nationally criticized for its ineffectiveness. Some sites, however, have spent site funds to move away from it and to do different things like Central and Fox. This inconsistency has created inequity across our district. Some sites, principals have paid for supplemental curriculum, and at others, teachers are left to fund and find their own resources. They spend their own time, their own money to provide students with what they need. That means the quality of writing instruction a student receives can depend not just on the school they attend, but on whether their teacher can afford to purchase materials out of pocket. That's not equity, and it's not sustainable. Upper elementary teachers have spoken about this issue many times at brown bag lunches, release days, and in conversation with district leaders. The answer has consistently been wait. It's our understanding that California is in the process of adopting and approving a new ELA curriculum and that BRSSD plans to pilot in 26-27. We understand that there's a process, but we need equality and equity across our school sites. Our students deserve consistent writing instruction that is research-based, relevant, and effective today, not 2 years from now. Teachers are doing everything we can with what we have, but our students deserve better tools, and our educators should not shoulder this burden alone. We believe BRSSD's mission, in BRSSD's mission and in the strength of our schools. By addressing this gap now, we can ensure every student and teacher, regardless of their site or grade, has the resources they need. Thank you.
All right, and our last speaker will be Danya Uni from the San Mateo County Office of Education.
Good evening. My name is Danya Uni, and I'm the Executive Director of District Business Services at San Mateo County Office of Education. I'm here this evening to communicate SMCOE's appreciation to the administrative and support staff at Belmont-Redwood Shore School Districts for their work in implementing the Enterprise Resource Planning System, which is the financial system called Frontline California ERP. So we have been working on implementing the system since March of 2024, and it has been a tremendous endeavor throughout this county. And we understand that BRSD staff have full-time jobs, so taking on this change was on top of their already full workloads. And we believe that the implementation has been successful because SMCOE has not received any complaints that your July and August payrolls are incorrect. So we think it's successful. And making sure that your employees are paid correctly was one of our top priorities. SMCOE paid for the implementation costs of approximately $5.6 million. And this included paying for the licensing costs of running the two systems, as well as consultant time and additional overtime for our staff to support BRST and also the other districts in the county. And we want to definitely acknowledge the hard work of the staff here, and this change would not have been possible without their work. So specifically, I wanted to call out and thank the following Belmont-Redwood Shores team members: Leah Ragzak, Budget and Accounting Supervisor; Jill Bauer, Payroll and Benefits Specialist; Annie Fermi, Human Resources Specialist; Alicia Lau, Accounting Technician; Lisa Nahira Kang, Human Resources Assistant; Julie Eastbourne, Human Resources Director; and Reese Matsumoto, Chief Business Official. So the Belmont-Redwood Shores staff have been wonderful to work with. We know that there have been some challenging days when we all felt overwhelmed, but the team kept marching on. So thank you. And we're now past the implementation phase, and we're now into the enhancement and continuous improvement phase. And we hope that the district would find the new ERP system a valuable tool to pay your employees correctly, report retirement, and keep track of employee leaves, provide timely financial reports, develop and track budgets, as well as purchase items with proper control procedures, and generally account for the financial resources provided by Belmont-Redwood Shores community. Thank you.
Thank you. And those are all our speakers for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Hauser. Item number 8, accurately this time, the Board of Trustees report. Anyone like to get us started? Trustee Tang, I choose you.
I just wanted to say congratulations and thank you very much to our administrators and all of our teachers for all of the endless hours of hard work you do to make sure that the school year goes off to a smooth start. My kids have had a great time so far in their classrooms this year, and it's all due to your hard work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Dang.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so not a lot to report from me. I will echo Trustee Tang's comments that we're off to a great year. My son is also having a great time in kindergarten, so it's been a good transition for us. The one thing that I will share is that at the end of this month, I'm starting a course on ethical leadership. And so I hope to take what I learned from that course and be able to use it here as well.
Awesome. Trustee Cox.
I see my time.
Thank you. Trustee Northup.
In addition to thanking all the teachers and staff for a wonderful start of the school year, I just wanted to also thank all the parents who are involved with School Force and PTA, and all the parents who have donated or are planning to donate to School Force. It is now just you donate to School Force, and your children's schools PTAs will be funded as well. There's no set amount that the first amount goes to the PTA, et cetera. What you can donate, we appreciate, and that goes to funding our staff as well as community events at the school. So thanks again to all the parents as well as the teachers and staff for a great start of the school year.
Thank you. Hispanic Heritage Month. Just want to put that out there. We have, I think it's a good chunk of our community and also important to all of us. Happy that for anyone who that's salient to. I echo everything. I want to appreciate administrators Right now, there's been some recent events that maybe we're aware of, but keeping students and school sites safe has been a scary concept in recent days and also just in the country. And I think the weight that holds on its own and the actions that follow, as an administrator myself, I'm in real appreciation of. This team, actually, we've had just kind of some recent meetings, and I always feel that way. I love you guys, but I feel like the recent work that we've done has been really healthy, and I appreciate that. I was part of a 2x2, which will come up later. And then I don't know if I can do this, but just the bravery of people willing to speak. Just want to call that out. It's yeah, I'm in a space really I appreciate the kind of directness that's being offered towards us as feedback, support, advice, ideas. So thank you for that. I'm going to stay on. And item number 9, I'm passing to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I just want to first start by recognizing today is September 11th in remembrance of the events that happened on 9/11. Just to offer those thoughts as well as appreciation for all of those who serve our community each and every day. Two things I want to mention. I just want to thank San Mateo County Office of Education for coming out to recognize the district's transition to ERP system. It was a huge lift that was on a lot of people's plate that took a lot of time. So thank you to all those who are mentioned. I also want to extend those thanks because that was the team who made the change happen. There's so many more folks across the district in our offices, district office, office support staff who are actually using the system, who now had to learn how to use that new system, how to put in different orders and requisitions and all those things. So just extend the thanks to the other support staff across the district. And finally, I just want to recognize that yesterday we had our first book club around the disengaged teen. We had about between 40 and 50 folks join us. It was a great evening. It was an hour and a bit well spent. We had the time to look at some data, some ideas around engagement and agency. We spent time in breakout rooms talking across groups, parents, educators, and educators broadly, both teachers, certificated and classified staff in groups talking about what it is that we want for our kiddos and kind of resetting the idea of age of achievement versus age of agency. So this was one of 4 sessions. The next session is in October in a few weeks. I want to encourage folks to sign up, come participate, even if you don't have the opportunity to be up to speed on the chapter that we're on. It's great conversation and a great opportunity. So encourage all to attend. Look for the information on Parent Square in the coming weeks. And that's it for today.
Thank you. Now, item number 10, approval of the agenda and consent agenda.
There's been no changes.
May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Appreciate that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Seeing as there are none, the consent agenda is approved. Item number 11, material sufficiency. This is a public hearing and resolution. We're going to hear from Assistant Superintendent Chingpei.
I can never remember. I think you open the public hearing first.
Oh, I do. Public hearing is open. Are there speakers wishing to address the board on this agenda?
There are no public speakers for the public hearing.
Seeing as there are none, I cede back to you.
Thank you. This is our annual report that we have ordered and received our materials. We are back ordered on one set of materials, but we have a delivery date and all other, and it's 1 grade level of kindergarten materials. We have printed through a printer, Unit 1, and provided booklets for every student so that nobody is without their classroom workbook at the moment, but otherwise we have received everything and we are in compliance with our Williams textbook requirements. Questions? Yes.
So, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Quick question about, like, what, is it just a logistics timeline? Because I would think that if you know your numbers, right, the numbers that we need, and you order it at a certain point in time, and it would arrive over the summer even, way in advance. So what I'm trying to figure out, what is the obstacle, either, on, what can we do to kind of help mitigate these obstacles so that the textbooks are in hand by the first day?
Yeah, it's definitely about timeline and ordering. And unfortunately, as we all know, this is the last year of the math. Nobody has said this to me formally. We have received every single thing we ordered except for one booklet in kindergarten. I personally think the publishers know that this was running out. They're done with this. And so kindergarten across the board is back ordered. It is shipping soon. But typically we place our orders as soon as July 1 hits, we place our orders so that they can be delivered in August. We don't always have control over the publishers. But every other item is here. And, we thankfully have finances to be able to support us in these instances. So we were able to get the materials printed. Yeah.
Can I ask about these materials with relation to what was brought up by our public speaker? I'm just wondering, I understand that there's a disparity, if I understand correctly, that there's a disparity in the quality of the ELA instructional curriculum that as it exists today, and that our upper elementary school students are having trouble with acquiring the appropriate curriculum to help them along that ELA path. Are we providing them sufficient textbooks and instructional materials?
What the Williams audit requirement is from the state of California is that we have every adopted curriculum textbook in hand. So what that conversation entails is a new adoption of new materials. In our LCAP, where it's listed what our ELA, math, science, social studies, health, and social emotional learning curricula are that are formally adopted by the school board, those are the materials and textbooks that we verify that we have for William's sake.
I don't know if this is the right forum to ask this question. Dan, you can tell me if I'm, yeah. But is it possible for us to be able to acquire some additional materials in order to address the issues that were brought up here today?
Yes, but that's not a Williams issue.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's why I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure if that's
In terms of this public hearing of have we received all of our adopted materials? Yes, we have, with the exception of that one grade level stuff with a ship date. So we should be getting those soon. In regard to the other question, that is something that certainly if you want to direct us to look into more formally aligned materials, that's something that we look to you for,
And we can provide additional information for the board. Sites do have discretionary funds. There are discretionary funds provided across the district to utilize in honestly discretionary ways. So I think we heard from our speakers tonight that some sites have used that for differing professional development, consultant kind of work. Some folks have used that in a book study format. Some folks have used that to purchase supplemental materials, not core materials, but supplemental materials in support.
But if we think back to the goal and intent of the Williams Act, it's for every site to have kind of the same access to materials.
Correct.
And so having these discretionary funds where one site, oh, I decided to buy it. The other site says, oh, no, I'm not going to buy it. Doesn't that create disparity?
Sites have discretionary funds to utilize in ways that they see benefit students. Kind of local control piece is the way I would equate it. Each site does have differing needs.
So from this perspective, we have everything. And then we can, I guess, agendize and discuss further, but
I just wonder
Yeah.
because it's the beginning of the school year and I would like the kids to have the materials that the teachers want to use to teach their students. That's my concern and we can talk about it at a later, more appropriate time. Thank you.
Other questions about this public hearing resolution?
Any other questions? This is an item for action. I'm looking for a motion to approve resolution number 2025-2026-4, assuring compliance with Education Code 60119C for adequacy of instructional material and content alignment for pupils in the Belmont-Redwood Shores School District. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Trustee Northrup. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any nays? And then saying there are no nays or abstentions, item number 11 is approved.
Thank you.
That's a lot of words. Item number 12, approval of the memorandum of understanding between California School Employee Association and Belmont-Redwood Shores School District regarding Wednesday meal service. Director Eastburn.
Good evening. So item number 12, the district, because the district is providing lunch in a congregate setting on Wednesdays to allow students to eat lunch on campus prior to dismissal. We needed to increase the FTE or the minutes to some certain categories of employees, specifically paraeducators. So with that, their hours increased approximately 45 minutes. Their salary and benefits also increased accordingly. So with that, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the MOU with CSEA regarding Wednesday meal service.
Is it open for discussion? Are there any questions about this MOU? Seeing as there are none, is there a motion to approve the MOU with CSEA regarding Wednesday meal service?
I move that we approve the MOU with CSEA regarding Wednesday meal service.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Dang. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing as there are none. Item number 12 is approved. Item number 13, you're back up. Approval of the MOU between Belmont-Redwood Shores School District and BRSFA for the school nursery salary schedule.
Thank you. The district and BRSFA recognize that the school nurse position requires additional time on site each day for administrative duties, paperwork, and additional days at the beginning and the end of the school year to update and maintain student care plans. The parties agree that it is in everybody's best interest to move the school nurse position to the existing school psychologist salary schedule. With that, the school nurse daily hours will increase from 6.5 to 7.5. Increase the number of school days that the school nurse works from 185 to 200. And to pay the school nurse according to the attached school psychologist salary schedule. So with that, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the MOU between Belmont-Redwood Shores School District and BRSFA for the school nurse salary schedule. I move to approve the MOU between Belmont-Redwood Shores School District and BRSFA for the school nurse salary schedule.
Before you second, are there any questions?
Sorry.
Okay. Go for it.
I will second.
I appreciate that. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Seeing as there are none, item number 13 is approved. And you're still here. Item number 14. Approval of the MOU between BRSSD and BRSFA, mentor teacher job description and stipend.
Thank you. So this is exciting. We're proud to announce the completion of the Joint Task Force Committee's work between the district and BRSFA. It's a big step forward on our ongoing commitment to building strong relationships and providing dedicated support for our teachers. This initiative is a key component to our strategic plan from last year. Very happy that all parties came together to approve the job description and the stipend that goes along with it. It's the intent to establish mentor positions at each site that are designed to assist teachers experienced in the profession, but new to the district. So these are teachers that would not qualify for induction, but may need extra support, curriculum support, or kind of nuts and bolts, trying to assimilate to the district and just being a new teacher on site. The support activities will be conducted outside of regular work hours, up to 40 hours a year. And in some cases, if somebody needs more support, we can approve those hours on a timesheet basis at the same rate. This timesheet rate aligns with previous rates approved for the professional support and improvement plan mentor teacher position. With that, I am happily asking to that the board approves the mentor teacher job description and stipend.
Last question.
Of course.
So this is really exciting, I think. Has this been piloted before, or have you felt some of, if not, that these mentor teachers maybe have been doing it informally and now we're just getting around to finally formalizing it?
Correct. Second part is correct.
Okay.
I think the first part is it's not been formally piloted, but I do believe a lot of teachers that are tenured and more experienced in the district have been doing this type of work basically on their own
Mm-hmm.
past.
Do you, so how is, if somebody's interested in this position, what, is there a committee or what's it gonna be the process to?
So, in theory, yes, but we'll work through the kinks as we go along. The thought is to get volunteers. For example, if there's a new third grade teacher that falls into this category, we would ask for a partner third grade teacher to volunteer if there is one that fits the criteria. And then go from there. If there's more than one, then we'll hold, interviews and pick the, the most qualified support person. I think, maybe we're talking about maybe 1 or 2 per site. We don't have a lot of new teachers typically that would fit into this category each year. So we'll see how it goes the first year. We'll start slowly this year for sure.
Great, thank you.
Can you clarify, the mentor teacher job position is in addition to a class that they're teaching already?
Correct. So these are regular classroom teachers that would be putting in work outside of the regular school day.
And you're saying that we're anticipating 1 or 2 mentor teachers, or is it like a little bit?
Yeah, I don't have the numbers. I should have actually done the work and got the exact numbers of what our need is this year. But typically we get new teachers that new to the profession that qualify for induction that receive support from the county office program. We do also from time to time get experienced teachers. Those numbers are fewer, but maybe 1 or 2 per site at the most per year.
And we're anticipating the mentor teacher job position to basically be is it to continue throughout the year or?
Year by year, yeah.
Year by-
Yeah.
I think we're envisioning really just being able to be responsive to needs of our newer veteran staff in growing into their role in BRSSD and ensuring that we are properly supporting and recognizing the support that our veteran teachers are providing to them. So there's some flexibility, like Julie shared, up to a certain number of hours. It's not a necessarily formalized every week for 3 hours or 2 hours. It's responsive to the need, right? So when we're looking to pair people, we're looking for similar experiences. Oftentimes it might be at the same school, it might be at a different school, right? So just really formalizing this piece that I will say was born out of our strategic plan 3 years ago. It was at the table we were talking about how do we support teachers in ongoing ways, and this was one of them.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
Any other questions? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the mentor teacher job description and stipend?
So moved. Oh, I
Thank-
moved to, yes.
So moved. Yeah, you got it. May I have a second?
Second.
Sweet. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing as there are none, item number 14 is approved, and you get a break. Item number 15, enrollment, elementary and middle school enrollment trends presented by Superintendent DeGuara.
Great. Got to get used to the microphone. Good evening again. And for this presentation, I may call on Julie here and there as needed, who helped me put together the numbers. A couple of caveats I want to just mention when we go through slides and I'm talking numbers. Generally speaking, these are the numbers. They may fluctuate here and there may even be some inconsistencies between slides just because of the data time snapshots. Sometimes we'll look at our enrollment at the beginning of the year. Sometimes we'll look at our enrollment at the CBEDS date. Sometimes we'll look at the enrollment at the end of the year. So slide to slide, they're consistent within the slide, but there might be slight variations. For example, in some slides, we include pre-kindergarten with transitional kindergarten, the handful of preschoolers that we have, and other slides we're focusing solely on TK, so that caveat. And I'm sharing this enrollment as part of my yearly enrollment update with the board. This year we'll look specifically at elementary schools and specifically at middle schools. And it works from here. Just a little snapshot of our school districts across the board where most schools are roughly in the 400s. We have 2 outliers there, Sandpiper at 548 and Ralston at 1099. Generally speaking, 400 is a very nice size school. Many districts across county and outside of county run schools of much higher numbers there. When we look at our total enrollment year over year, 24-25, we had roughly 3,927. In 25-26, we had 3,884. Relatively flat, right? Those numbers are very close. We're about 50-ish lower this year than we were last year. The one caveat is we've finished adding a full grade level. So over the last 4 years, we've been adding transitional kindergarten. Essentially across the state of California, we've added a new grade level, which is fantastic, provides additional opportunity for our youngest learners, our 4-year-olds, right? So we are happy to fully implement TK this year. I'll have a couple slides on that. This year, TK and pre-K, we came in at 203. We had in 8th grade this year, 483 across the span. So you do see that difference there in terms of numbers. We'll talk birth rates and whatnot as we go along. One other thing that I want to just mention, because we'll be talking about a declining enrollment trend. Declining enrollment is year over year. We're seeing fewer and fewer kids. You hear this trend talked about up and down the state, across the nation, has to do with birth rates, a lot of different factors. I want to be very specific that for BRSSD, because we are community funded, meaning we're funded on our property taxes and we receive more than the state's minimum funding, we are kind of sheltered from the impacts of declining enrollment in terms of costs. Most districts, as students decline, they lose funding at a larger rate than they're generating funding by their students. So much more significant. That's why you hear about school closures and whatnot. Our declining enrollment does not signify the need to do that. Let's talk about transitional kindergarten. Back in 2022, we were, I think it was 3 or 4 months that were allowed to attend transitional kindergarten. We had 86 students back then. Full implementation this year, September 2nd as that critical date. We have 190 students. We've grown from 4.5 TKs in 2022 to 11 TKs in 25-26. And those TKs are distributed across the district in this way. We do not offer TK at Central and Nesbitt. We have 1 at Cipriani. We have 4 at Fox. We have 3 at Redwood Shores and 3 at Sandpiper. The board may recall a few years ago, we were looking at how the district grows out the TK program. With our declining enrollment and school sizes, we learned that the extremities of the district, up on the hill by Fox and out by the bay and Redwood Shores, those were the areas that were declining quickest. And the center of the district was actually experiencing some growth. So our TKs primarily were fostered at the extremities of the district, and we've continued to enroll in that way. From net here, I want to just touch base about middle school enrollment, look at some trends. Generally speaking, when we talk about declining enrollment, we have a larger 8th grade class that is replaced by a much smaller kindergarten class. So this year, in 2025, 465 kiddos leaving, being replaced with 352. That delta of about 113 adds up over time. So as I shared before, with this trend, we've added a grade level, we've added more students, yet we've remained relatively flat over time. We do anticipate that to continue for several years out. Current middle school enrollment, in terms of current enrollment and seats available, we have 1099 at Ralston, we have 135 at Nesbitt, 123 at Sandpiper. You see in terms of seats available and space, we do not have space at Ralston. Nesbitt, we have about 33 spaces, 45 at Sandpiper. In terms of looking at trends in our middle school, we have a large 6th grade class at Ralston. We do have intra-district transfer request lists, wait lists to attend Ralston from internal students looking to transfer up. At Nesbitt, we would categorize that as consistent across grade levels, meaning 6th, 7th, and 8th have roughly the same amount of numbers, give or take a few. Those cohorts are mid-sized, definitely room for growth. At Sandpiper, we would categorize enrollment as inconsistent at grade levels. We have fewer kids in 6th and 7th grade than we do in 8th grade. 8th grade is our largest class at Sandpiper. When we look at middle school enrollment, we always like to project out a little bit. This is what the numbers look like internally as we graduate our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students up. This graph is just simply a graduating up, right? Each year, students go to the next grade level. Fifth graders go to sixth grade, sixth go to seventh. We can look at what that does for our enrollment over time. You can see at 26, 27, there's 25, 26, we're roughly flat. As we look at those trends out, this is independent of new kiddos transferring in. We see that declining trend. So just roughly graduate numbers 2, 4, 6 years out, we're roughly 290 students less at our middle school. So just taking that into consideration in terms of planning. Last spring, we started to do a pretty comprehensive look at our middle schools to see what was attracting folks to our schools, how our enrollment was influenced. We each spring give a survey, allow our fifth grade students and families to select which choice middle school. Last year, this is the way the choices kind of percolated out. Of the 434 kiddos that responded out of the 458 students that we sent the survey to, there were 391 that selected Ralston as their first choice. You can see Nesbitt and Sandpiper, second choice, and then third choice. We did our best to try and understand what drives people to select the middle school that they do. Proximity to home. In this question, we asked families to indicate their top 3 reasons for their middle school selection. The chart shows the number of families ranking each factor as their first, second, and third priority. I will say that the charts here that you'll see are just data, raw data. Not necessarily causal, but indicators of what people are thinking. Proximity to home, rated high as a first priority and a second priority. School reputation, again, a first priority and a second priority. Extracurricular activities, I would probably align that with electives. We did not poll electives, ranked as a third priority. Social reasons came in as a second and a third priority, and then school culture as a third priority. And you can see where others ranked as well. We do know the surveys as they came in. It is possible, not an easy task, but it is possible to even further differentiate those priorities to where families were assigned and what their first choice was. We can do that later if needed, but right now that just gave us kind of a base of information to reflect upon. We wanted to test a couple of things that have been our programs of promise. At Sandpiper, we've been doing work around design thinking. At Nesbitt, we've been launching the International Baccalaureate program. And then district-wide, we've been looking at music and arts. We have said that certain middle schools do cater more to the music and arts than others. And when we tested that, the perception of advanced learning programs actually came in the strongest, really close to no specific program influenced the decision. Design thinking, International Baccalaureate, and music arts actually all polled relatively low. That said, I will say one caveat: our International Baccalaureate program had not been recognized as an IB World School yet. So they achieved that status after this survey was given. We talk a lot about how our families make the choice. We speculate sometimes. Maybe people just don't know a lot about our smaller schools. And if we give more information about our small schools, Nesbitt and Sandpiper, and more time to make that decision, does that impact enrollment? And what we found is that when we asked if folks had adequate time and adequate information, largely our families said, yes, we did. with the vast majority to both of those questions answering agree or strongly disagree. Sorry, agree or strongly agree. So that leads us to middle school thoughts, right? When we look at our enrollment, we look at the numbers attending our middle schools. We look at things from a number of different areas. I am proud of each and every one of our middle schools. I believe truly that they offer amazing programs and amazing opportunities for our students. That said, when we look at the sustainability from an enrollment perspective, 3 middle schools is becoming less and less feasible. When we have classes of 30 and 40 at our middle schools, we have to think and question, is that what we want to have? So we have approximately 290 students less in about 6 years. That's the size of both of our small schools, our small middle schools, as they're both slightly under capacity. The small school model inherently comes with additional costs. It's complicated by lower enrollment and demand. And I'll be straightforward. Looking at our middle school program is not based on finances. As a community-funded basic aid district, we can choose to spend our dollars in ways that we believe benefit our students. We do need to be objective. We need to look at how those dollars impact students in optimal ways and continue to analyze that. And then finally, again, looking at our middle schools, any changes we were to make to our middle school program does require board action. I bring this to the board from an enrollment perspective tonight. Our enrollment is declining. Our numbers in our middle schools have declined, and it is a stressor. It is a stressor, as you heard tonight. We're committed to making sure that we're always making the right decisions. And in that vein, it's important to me to provide that opportunity for our board to analyze our current practice, to engage with those demographic trends, to listen to community input, and really determine next best steps. If our board, after looking at data and input, believe that our current path forward is the right path, then we stay steadfast. If after looking at the data and we evaluate options and need to make changes, that is an important thing for the board to consider. So in thinking about a path forward, again, my commitment to you is to bring the data forward to allow our board to make the appropriate decision. And I look at it in a couple of different ways. Our demographic trends are our demographic trends. We can see what we can see for 7 years out. It's about time, and we've already reached out to our demographer, Tom Williams, to update our projections, look at if his last demographic study was accurate, what the birth rates were right now, right? Like we can add 5 years to what we know, right? Kiddos born, actually it's 4 years now, right? Kiddos born now will be in our school in 4 years. Right, so to help us make that best decision. We look at demographic trends in October. If the will of the board is to continue to look at middle school enrollment to affirm that we're doing the best by our community, we can facilitate community outreach in November, December. Thinking if I want to say if there is a change, it could be made in the spring for change next year. That said, opportunities in brainstorming, there's a lot that could be done. right? So we've talked about single comprehensive middle schools. We've talked about smaller schools. We've talked about schools for opportunity. So with that, I plan to continue to bring information to the board alongside with the enrollment projection and study in October, and move down that path to analyze if what we're doing still makes the most sense. And if not, work with the board to make any changes needed.
This is an item open for discussion.
I had a question about the TK. I noticed that there were two, I don't remember which slide it was on. There were two schools, I think, that did not have a TK class. And I know that we were saying that it was because those are the spaces with less kids. However, I also recognize that it's a fair burden on parents, especially if they have an older child at one school and a TK at a different school.
Right.
Is there any plan on maybe having at minimum one TK class at each?
We are
Right.
constrained by size. Like full stop there. The size of Central and Nesbit make it difficult to have TK. They're full with their current students, and when we look at offhand, 2 or 3 cohort class. We have at each of our schools, we have either 2 or 3 classes. I'm looking at Reese. Nesbit kept Nesbit as a 3-strand school, maximizing the time that students spend at their school. To reframe, so if we were to have added full TK capacity at a school, right, with the idea that we want kids to spend as much time as they can at one school, we would have had a fewer number of classes at each grade level, thereby limiting the total number of students at the school site. That makes sense. Right? So right now at a school, there is either three kindergartens or 2 kindergartens. So in theory, you would want to have either 3 or 2 TKs to feed into those kindergartens. There's not enough space for those classes as it stands now. Sorry.
Jumping in, but I'm not taking it from you yet. When you say space, you're actually talking about classrooms?
Facilities.
Yeah.
Yes, facilities.
Sorry, just to continue with that same topic. So we're just saying that there's not physical classroom space, but we're not saying that we couldn't put classroom space there. Is that correct?
That is correct. The board, as we were implementing transitional kindergarten, the board stance was rather than build additional facilities, we're going to utilize the facilities that will go virtually unoccupied to house 1 year of a transitional kindergarten program, and then students will matriculate to their quote unquote home school or closest school.
Anyone else?
On a slightly different topic.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you. On a different topic, looking at the middle school enrollment, I'm looking at slide 9. So just kind of an observation, sorry, as I make it larger so I can see it better in front of me. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing from the community of what the community is interested in. And Also, my observation is that the projections are that for 26, 27, we're going to see a moderate decline of, 26 fewer middle schoolers, and then 27, 28, that seems like we're going to have a tiny bit more. But then in 28, 29, we see a large number declining. So I just want to emphasize that we want to hear from the community what the community wants to happen. And I think, as Superintendent DeGuara said, we could stay with the path we have, or we could change it. And I think we could be open to a gradual change. I don't think the numbers. I think the numbers could numbers along with community input could support either staying the same, a gradual change, or a quicker change. So just really a comment. Thank you.
I will also say, I think when we bring up this topic, it raises a lot more questions, perhaps, in terms of what's ideal. Certainly I could say, is a middle school or any school of 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 the optimal size? No, I probably would say no. Schools that are smaller are probably more optimal. But when we look at scale and opportunity to offer more diversity in terms of offerings, scale helps in those ways. You look at all of your middle schoolers and you say, well, what if we had, 2 comprehensive middle schools? That I'll just full stop there. That's a huge conversation, and not one that I'm necessarily suggesting, but it's conversation, right? But you do lose some of that scale. All that to say is this is opening up the question of whether or not we should consider it, and that's my commitment to the board is to bring data. And each time when I shared that last slide there, is really truly decision points, right? Like let's look at enrollment data and stand in inquiry and wonder. Let's look at what the demographer says, and let's think about that. Let's hear from our community, and let's think about that. And at the end of the day, if our trajectory is status quo, that's the right decision. But definitely putting it out there for conversation.
I have a question. On slide 12, I'm looking at just academic programs. I'm curious what this slide means for this question.
So in this, we asked academic programs that most influence their decision. So we know we invested in Sandpiper around design thinking. And International Baccalaureate at Nesbitt. We heard that people had thoughts about accelerated programs, i.e. geometry. And we heard a lot of feedback around students needing to go to Ralston because of the I'll just say the robust offering in music. The level of music at Sandpiper and Nesbitt is different than Ralston. So that's why those items were selected. Honestly, the data is interesting to me as well. I would have expected higher numbers. at actually design thinking IB and arts and music. Yeah, it's just a temperature check.
Can I ask you something?
Mhm.
Yeah, so then I think this is pretty so well, some of those are school, obviously school specific and where there's programs are being done now, but we've always talked about certainly like getting more recognition, doing certain things to make the larger community aware of the stage of development. As you mentioned, the IB program had just gotten certified, but not when the survey was put around, or
Yeah, I think our survey was after the middle school selection,
Yeah.
right? So we did all of our info nights. We did all of our shadowing days. We did all of our small program
and then the survey.
site, and then we people did the survey, and then we surveyed after the fact, after all that was done.
In your experience, and please chime in, what period of time when, when boards are, or in your past, again, experience with other districts, what is an appropriate period of time to know if something is truly going to take hold for a program? Like, is it going to happen? So, if giving some of these programs the time, what's a meaningful shift? To say, yeah, it's slow but steady versus I think the community has spoken in a way that we just have to kind of accept.
Yeah.
Or go in a different direction.
I mean, I think when we go back to these trends, I think we start to see some patterns. Certainly, we will dig into the numbers to understand of students attending, like how many are new to BRSSD, how many attended BRSSD in 5th grade. Like, I think some of those trends will help us better understand the demographics and the selection process. These are higher level, and I think as we ask those questions, we'll look at those data points and analyze them the best that we're able.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I know we're in the start of the process, but that would be interesting to me.
Yeah.
To get in a little bit more into the granular, as long as I can kind of like see a story behind that.
Yeah. One of the things I will say, and I appreciate you mentioning the story kind of behind it. This is all numbers. It's data. It is devoid of emotion and commitment. I said each of our middle schools. I would happily send my children to each of our middle schools. They have amazing programs. They have teachers that are dedicated to what they do each and every day. We have Ralston teachers who are, stepping outside of their single subject credential and exploring different electives. We have Nesbitt staff who have put in hours and hours of time to ensure that their units are interdisciplinary and are aligned to world standards, and have students working through in meaningful ways that contribute back. We have staff at Sandpiper that, like Ralston, have stepped outside of their credentialed pieces to develop electives for intercession that have added multiple opportunities for students in different ways. And they're connecting with kiddos that isn't possible in the large scale. So our staff is going above and beyond to support specifically our small schools, right? So that's all the stuff that you don't see behind there. I know we have some of those amazing teachers here today, right? It's an amazing opportunity for all of our kids, right? Regardless, and I do stand true that whatever middle school your kiddo is enrolled in, they're going to get one amazing education. It is different site to site, but they will get an amazing education that not only prepares them for high school, but prepares them for what comes beyond. So
Totally agree. Thank you.
Ask another. This is maybe a basic question. This slide right here, when I do the math and I see 168 is kind of whatever capacity. Just right, 135 is 133. Like that's the current enrollment plus seats available.
yeah, so current enrollment, we can add another 33 to that
Yeah.
135.
Does this,
Yeah.
with the conversation we're having right now, does that number change? Or is 168 the largest number of middle schoolers that could be at Nesbitt or Sandpiper?
Yeah. So we take into consideration class size maximum, teacher prep,
Yep.
all of those pieces. So yes.
Yes. Any other questions? Okay.
So board can expect an enrollment update from Tom Williams at the October meeting, and we'll continue to revisit as appropriate.
Thank you. Moving to item number 16, our unaudited actuals budget report with CBO Matsumoto.
Good evening, trustees. Can you hear me? Great. So we are now in fiscal year 25-26, and what that means is it's now time to review fiscal year 24-25 and how we did financially. So to give you the 1,000-foot view of everything, we ran a $4.9 million budget deficit in 24 and 25. Again, this is in line with what we had been expecting, and overall, this fits in with our longer multi-year plan of having built up surpluses in the prior 3 years, and then now leveraging those reserves in order to keep per pupil spending high, while our property tax revenue catches up essentially with our expenditures. Thinking about kind of the large drivers of this. So on the revenue side, we had talked a few times last year about the going away of the supplemental tax as part of our transition a few years ago over to basic aid. Because of that, you'll notice in a couple slides that our revenue has basically remained flat in the 24-25 school year. That is not something that we project will continue. Our revenue will begin going up again. Again, it's simply because of the lapse of the supplemental tax. On the expenditure side, the largest driver of expenditures are actually people, which makes sense, as you'll see in a few slides as well. It may not be as clear as I'll show in a bit, though, because a lot of it actually also is people that we have to hire through contracts, right? These are specialized positions that we may need, for example, for students with IEPs that we just may not be able to hire for within our district, or is specialized to the point where we actually may need to go through a contractor. As we think about the future, we're starting to budget out for fiscal year 26 and 27, whereas in the budget that we approved, I believe in May, we are projecting to run a $5.3 million deficit. So again, this is all part of the plan. This chart that you've seen many times and will continue to see over the next few years, the surpluses we have built in fiscal year 21, 22, 23, and 24, we are leveraging those to keep our expenditures high, even as the stimulus funds have lapsed. Okay, so looking through our revenues, again, as I have mentioned, our LCFF sources, which is essentially our basic aid, that has not changed at all. And you're noticing a few small downticks in terms of federal revenue, state revenue, and local revenue. A lot of that is tied to our per pupil, or a lot of it is tied to enrollment. So again, as our enrollment has slowly declined, so has some of the sources of revenue from those things. Again, if you notice, it's relatively small in comparison to our basic aid. So again, our basic aid revenue is our anchor. And given that we are basic aid, that will continue to grow basically by property tax growth. Okay, moving into expenditures. So let's talk about this a little bit more because as I mentioned, it's not as clear that the increase in expenditure is from people, right? So if you notice in the first 3 rows here, we have our salaries between certificated, classified, and benefits. And those have increased by roughly, 3.2 million. But if you look down a few more lines in the services and other operating expenses, right, you'll notice that has gone up by roughly 2 million as well. And that really encompasses a lot of the contracts for people that either we haven't been able to fill the position for because, there are just large staffing needs across the country, for example, within special education. And so we've thus had to use contractors for. So essentially, even though it is not counted as the salaries bucket, it is essentially money that we are spending on people as well. So to give a quick breakdown of how our money is spent, since I'm sure you're curious. So from year to year, right, most of our money is spent on people and most of our money is spent on our schools, which makes a lot of sense, right? If you look at the leftmost graph between fiscal year 23-24 and fiscal year 24-25, you'll notice the big uptick, right? Again, our expenditures have increased between 2 years. But what's in that light gray bar that you'll notice is what I was talking about before on the last slide, right? So even within that gray bar, a lot of it is actually still spent on people, right? So even though we are paying people with dark blue, we are also paying people with what's happening in the gray as well. So if I had to give an estimate, we're probably spending anywhere between 80 to 83% of our total expenditures on people, even though what's being shown in just that dark blue segment over there is really around 75%. Again, this is more of a reflection of national staffing shortages around certain positions than it is a reflection on anything else. We still continue to try and bring these positions in-house. We're always looking at, keeping our salaries competitive to try and bring those people in as easily as possible. But again, a lot of it deals necessarily with the supply and not necessarily with the demand. Again, at the rightmost graph, looking at how we're spending our expenditures, most of the money is going towards our school. Now, this is probably introducing a new term here that I haven't referred to before called SSBC. And these are school services budgeted centrally, right? So if we're thinking about a centralized PD, for example, that is technically within the central office's budget, but it's in the betterment of our kids and the betterment of our students, right? You could also think of, I can't think of another example off the top of my head, but if you could think about perhaps like an art program that we're budgeting for centrally, right? We're looking to do a certain program across all of our schools, but it's paid for at the central level. That is another school service budgeted centrally. So again, most of our money is going towards our schools. And as Superintendent DeGuara and I have mentioned on numerous occasions, we are very blessed to be able to run a very lean team operationally. So just a quick point out that, a lot of this is also possible because of the hard work that, kind of our lean administrative team puts in to be able to, do all the responsibilities properly and allow us to allocate as much money as humanly possible to our kids. So the last slide I have here is just a quick update on our different programs. Fund 13 is our food program. Fund 21 is our bond program. Fund 25 is for developer fees, and Fund 35 are for school facilities. So overall, we are running positives in each of these. And when you specifically look at Fund 21, you'll notice that the projected balance is a lot higher, or actually the finalized balance is not projected balance, is a lot higher. And that's because we went through all the effort to issue the bond funds within tranche 1 of Measure P around May, June of fiscal year 24-25. So this is just reflecting that we actually received the money, which has allowed us to begin the roofing and HVAC assessments that we accomplished this past summer and ultimately are using to move forward into summer 2026 and onwards as part of our bond program. With that, I conclude my time.
Was open for questions, for discussion. Trustee Cuss?
Thank you for the presentation. Can we go back to the slide where you have it between the SSBC, or the SSBC one? So you mentioned that the good, clear description of some things are central, so that would fall. So what is the difference between the gray central there and then things that are central but put in the bucket of SSBC?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, for example, it's administrator salaries that goes in central.
Okay.
Versus school services budgeted centrally, maybe a PE that assistant superintendent who is putting on that she budgets for in her own budget, but truly all of that is in service of the kids.
Okay. Got it. So it's like more program specific versus like a salary, like
Yeah,
central
exactly. I
salary
think of it more as services, programs
that are hitting all
contracts.
school sites.
Yeah, that hits basically all of our school sites versus everything that is in the dark green bar is money that is at the school sites, right? So teacher salaries, counselor salaries, et cetera, programs that a site is running.
And then central is more district.
Exactly.
Leadership.
Exactly. What it takes to run the district, right? That includes maintenance staff as well. That includes custodial staff as well.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, I had one other question. It sounds like we appreciate the great job you've done with the assumptions. I mean, 0.3 in the scheme of a budget of 67 million is really good. But do you envision do you feel that those assumptions are still realistic? Do you think that there's any are there any blips to like keep track of or to monitor that might be coming up either with the state holding back on some funds or other areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a few things there, right? One, we always budget with conservatism in mind, right? So we're always keeping an eye on, for example, the worst case scenario happening, right? In terms of what's coming down the pipeline that could potentially cause a spike in expenditures, which I think is what you're asking. One of the things we noticed this year is we actually saw an increase in special education students. So even though our overall enrollment decreased, the number of special education students increased. And depending on their IEPs, we may have to spend more or less per pupil on those. So that's one thing. Ultimately, on the federal and state funds, it doesn't make up a large portion of our budget. The money that we're accounting for in future years is money that has already been allocated. So unless the state does something drastic to take away those funds, it's a very high percentage chance that we'll be receiving those. And again, ultimately, most of our revenue comes from basic aid or property taxes, and that is very, very consistent. So again, we are in a very fortunate position to be basic aid funded to the point where most of our revenues will be pretty stable moving forward.
Perfect. Thank you.
A question on slide 8, expenditures. Yeah. Are any of those changes from year to year, like any of those stand out or will they continue? Like when I see additional spends or adjusted things, is it not that I would actually do the math of projections, but like all of those make sense to you and like they'll come up every year that would there be another additional spend on technology rollouts for next year? Or is that just something that was in that one between 2023 and 25?
Yeah. So again, those are things that we would budget for, right? So the long story short, the way we budget is we give each of our central office departments a allocation as well. So ultimately, people have to make trade-offs as well, right? So while in this past year we had a few more technology rollouts, right? We accounted for that in the budget, right? So all that means is in a future year, instead of technology rollouts, the money will be perhaps in something else, right? Maybe it's in a service or something like that. So again, ultimately, it comes down to how a specific department would like to use their allocation, but overall, it's not going to be like a year spike versus the next, right?
Thank you.
Changes how it's used, not the total amount.
That makes sense. Yeah. Any other questions on item 16? This is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the unaudited actuals budget report of district revenues and expenditures as required by law for the 24-25 fiscal year as presented?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Seeing as there are no opposed, item 16 is approved. And keep your mic on. Item 17, summer construction update, also from CBO Matsumoto.
Good evening again, trustees. As part of our tour de force through fiscal year 24-25, we'd also like to just provide a quick construction update of the projects that happened last summer. So again, to give a quick overview of what's been happening, we have two bond measures currently open. We are at the tail end of Measure I, in which we issued the final $9 million of that in December 2022, and Measure P, of which November 2024, voters approved it for $171 million. The long story short, we had a whole saga about when to actually issue the funds. We were able to do so, saving taxpayers roughly $3 million on Measure P and approximately $750,000 on the refinancing of Measure I. Long story short, we are also looking at the projects now. We got off to a quick start in summer 24-25 with roofs at Cipriani, Nesbitt, and Sandpiper, as well as the CalShape program, which provided some HVAC assessments that we can leverage for the HVAC work upcoming in summer 2026. So this is a quick overview of what I just talked about. I won't spend too much time here. Again, Measure P approved in November 2024. We went through the process of issuing the funds. We tried for April, ultimately in May, and we then began the projects in June of 2025. So this is just a quick overview of where Measure I is from an expenditure standpoint. Pretty much everything has been spent and accounted for, with the exception of the district office modernization project, which we're currently working on. For the benefit of the audience and anyone watching at home, the district office will be closed as we will be moving on October 3rd, 2025, which is relatively soon. We expect our district office to be under construction for roughly a year, and we will be at 1075 Old County Road. So if you're interested in Frosties from Wendy's or the occasional donut, please stop by and also bring some donuts for us. Thank you. Okay, great. And now as we move to Measure P. So what you're seeing is just basically the budget for tranche 1 of Measure P. And again, there are 3 tranches. We brought tranche 1 by the board in, I believe, March of 2025 for $57.5 million. And if you'll notice the small little text at the bottom, the total amount that you see of 50.9 million does not equal to 57.5. That's because there are set asides for project escalation as inflation happens, contingency, program management service, legal services, and also the cost of issuance. So again, it doesn't mean the money does not go to the projects. It's just that is on the back to make sure that if anything happens, let's just say we open a wall and we find that more work needs to be done, it doesn't hamper the overall rest of the bond program. So as you'll notice, there's really only one expenditure here, which is for roofs and HVACs, as I'll cover in a second. Everything else that we'll talk about as well for summer 2026 onwards. We're talking about the MURs at our sites. We're talking about the fields at Nesbitt and Ralston. We're talking about parking lots at Central, potentially a drop-off loop at Cipriani, and potentially any other technology needs that come up. So diving into some of the work that was done last summer, we have the CalShape grant work, and just a quick overview of how that work So as you'll see on the leftmost chart, this is just a quick stock of all the number of HVAC units that we have across our different sites. And in terms of the right side, this is kind of their findings of what they consider to be high need issues. So coming out of that, there are a few with damaged belts, some with electrical issues, faulty operation, which for all intents and purposes is essentially maybe it wasn't spinning as fast as it should have, the airflow wasn't proper. And then we had a number of units that were approaching its lifespan. Again, all of this is informational work that contributes to the HVAC work that we'll be doing in summer 2026. And based on this info, we actually had the company that is helping us Pac West either repair them or we had maintenance call the appropriate people to get a lot of these fixed for the beginning of the year. In case you're curious, none of our sites had a particular concentration of these issues. So it's not like, for example, Nesbitt had all of the failing HVACs. It was just a few sparsely populated amongst the different sites. So now moving on to the roofing, we have a few quick pictures of the different updates throughout the summer. We also sent these over to the sites themselves to share with their community. Overall, the roofing projects were a success. We were able to add new roofs, asphalt shingles to, again, Cipriani, Nesbitt, and Sandpiper. I'll just flip through some of these pictures very quickly. Again, we're very excited that we were able to finish this, given that we had issued the funds for these types of projects in May. Doing so was a very quick turnaround. And so I would like to just quickly applaud our architects, who are Darlington Rowan's architects, and also our program manager, Teleq, for making sure that we could get kind of all of the ramifications designed and actually have the roofs hit the appropriate places at the right time and finish before school. With that, I conclude my time.
If I could just add on, I want to just extend my appreciation for the team. We've been doing a lot of things in parallel, right? Facility master planning while simultaneously planning for a bond, while simultaneously thinking about how that money's spent and executed, right? So from the time that we approved the pond to the time our community actually started to see things take shape was relatively quick. So compliments to CBO Matsumoto and the extended team for making that happen. There's districts out there that have taken years, literally, to execute on bond dollars that were approved. So really proud that we can see that. And I'll just say every time I go by CBO Matsumoto's office, there's a new set of blueprints and a new set of what ifs or what could be. And I'm like, well, what if? And it's kind of a fun space to be. So we do look forward to involving the community in those drawings and thoughts as we get closer to constructions and facility updates at our school sites.
Thank you, Superintendent DeGuara. I actually forgot that I had one additional slide that I forgot to go through. Thank you for reminding me about that. Just thinking about the future projects that are coming down. So in summer 2026, again, our focus is the HVAC upgrades at as many sites as possible, roofing projects at Fox, Central, and Ralston, because we did the other sites, and Redwood Shores has a metal roof, which does not require any changes to it. Probably the biggest few in here are the MUR modernizations, likely at Cipriani, Nesbitt, and Fox. Again, as Superintendent DeGuara mentioned, we really would like to get our community input on all these things. We're working with our architects to figure out initially what makes sense for the space, but for any of the community members that are listening out there, we look forward to hearing from you as well on how you believe an optimal MUR space should be laid out and used. And then also the Cipriani drop-off loop. We are planning to add a drop-off loop off of Buena Vista to provide some traffic relief and also make the morning drop-off a lot easier for our parents. And then as we look into summer 2027, finishing up more of those MUR upgrades, Ralston Field, if it does not happen in summer 2026, and potentially Nesbitt Field as well, depending on how the logistics work out. And then the big projects there will then center around Central as we begin to work on their Central parking lot and also their MUR. We do have to work on the parking lot first because of a few DSA, which is the governing board of architecture for the state of California requirements. But we're looking to get that basically finished as soon as possible. It is a little bit of an architectural nightmare just because of where it's located and the amount of sloping, the amount of retaining wall that we will need to potentially add any space to the parking lot to make that easier, and just generally the amount of grade happening. If you've ever gone from Middle Street into Central, you'll notice that it's a little bit of a tough right or left turn, whether you're coming up or down the hill. So again, we are getting those projects off to a very quick start, and I thank our architects and our program manager for that.
Thank you. Questions, comments about the summer construction update from the board? Fake.
I have a question about the HVAC upgrades. Just because I am concerned with air quality, and having it finish in summer of 2027 seems like an awfully long time. We have multiple breaks throughout the year. Is it possible to get them started potentially? I mean, how long does it take for an HVAC project to take? And would it be possible to start it during one of our many multiple breaks that we have during the school year versus waiting until summer of 2027?
It's definitely possible. I'd be remiss if I didn't say we're also exploring that as well. We do understand this is a huge priority. And again, our goal really is to finish them all up in summer 2026. Again, that summer 2027 blip over there was just in case we weren't able to finish it. And we would cadence it in a way where we get to the most needy systems first, right? So ones that do function properly under the appropriate MERV filtering, we would leave those to the end. But yes, we completely understand. It's definitely a priority for us. We understand that our systems are not necessarily in the highest quality, and it is definitely our priority to finish
They're not
ASAP.
currently up to standard. I will say that. I'm sorry. They are not currently up to standard. They are unfortunately fairly outdated, and they do need to be upgraded.
Understood.
Thank you. I will stop.
We hear you loud and clear.
Trustee Cost?
Yes, well, your slide kind of answered my question. But the project timeline, so there is an opportunity in addition to maybe HVAC synergy to use school breaks. I mean, is that kind of, even before that, is that the vision not to always just wait till the summer? Obviously, there's a challenge. You don't want kids in session, but is there kind of like reminding me of like the sign, pardon our construction, like, is there opportunity to use the breaks and or other parts of the year? Or is it really like we just really kind of want to do it when the kids are not in session at all?
It is most optimal for it to happen when the kids are not there, right? Because then you have very little risk of,
Sure.
there's just dust and stuff that falls
Yeah, of
off the
course,
roof,
of course.
right? Or, whether you're doing a modernization of a space or anything, right? And also when you consider our MURs, right? If we do it during the year, where do the students go?
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
These
No,
are all
I
things we
agree.
have. But long story short, yes, we are considering doing some of the projects during the breaks. This is kind of the spirit of under promise and over deliver on timelines. So we're trying to be very conservative with these. And again, a lot of it also has to do with our architectural firm's ability to get all these projects through DSA, right? Unfortunately, it's not quite like we can snap our fingers and start on any project that we want. For example, for some of the MUR projects, I met with the architectural team today, and we're already starting to design what a space might look like, because they need to get those designs by the community soon, so then they can get it ultimately past DSA in time for us to start in summer 2026, right? So unfortunately, the lead time is long, but again, we're being a little bit conservative on these with the hope that we get more projects done sooner rather than later.
Perfect. That was my second question around the bureaucratic TS part. Of just so far, with the work that has been done, has it seemed like the bureaucratic piece of whatever the state wants or the local, regulations, has it been manageable? Have we anticipated, the project directors, have they anticipated everything possible to kind of give the lead time? Sounds like the answer is yes.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we have about as good information as I've seen personally from my history and working in districts. For example, we have our as-built for pretty much all of our sites, which is incredibly helpful because it helps our architects figure out exactly what is underneath, some of the walls that they may peel back or some of the roofs that they may peel back. I would say depending on a district's historical record keeping, that's not always available. The other thing that's very helpful is that we actually have all of our prior DSA projects closed out. So what typically can happen is if you are starting a new project at a site, DSA might actually tell you if you have an existing project still open, you can't start on it until you actually have this previous project cleared out. And if the project was still open from a long time ago, the rules and regulations may have changed. So you may need to actually make a few more adjustments to what was already done because the project wasn't properly closed out. So in working with our architects, and I would like to make a quick shout out to our business service specialist, Catherine Reese, we have closed out all of the projects. So we're good to go. Any new projects that come through are off to a clean slate.
So one final question. Thank you. That was in the back of my mind. Most importantly, do you have your own little yellow construction hat? It says recent, have you stickered it up,
I'm not quite like most of the teams that have worked on a lot of our projects. I don't have as many stickers as they do on my helmet.
Do you have a helmet?
I do have a helmet.
Yes.
It's required. I might start investing in steel toe boots given
now
the amount of construction areas I'll be walking through. I don't think my brown loafers will cut it in terms of safety.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
I do want to add, I'll just say, I do appreciate, it is a pretty ambitious timeline that he presented, conservatively from my perspective. The other thing I just want to acknowledge is we're working with our architects and our construction management to properly cadence and organize our projects so that we optimize and stay within budget. A lot of times when you're bidding things out, there's a certain level of scale that you benefit from as well. So all that to say is we're moving. I appreciate the speed we're moving, and we will move as quickly as we can to get all those high priority projects going and underway.
Just a small question. Could you remind us, as in me, please, what DSA is for the DSA approval?
Department of State Architecture.
You said it over here.
Department of State Architecture.
Thank you very much, Superintendent DeGuara. Yes, Department of State Architecture.
Okay, so that is a state level office that
Yes.
requires school districts to.
You have to, it's usually the permitting board that you go through for very specific projects. It may actually get permitted through the city, but largely all projects are permitted by DSA.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions on item number 18? Okay, don't press mute. Oh, sorry, 17, correct. I'm ahead of myself. Staying with CBO Matsumoto, item number 18, public disclosure of developer fees.
Good evening again, trustees. So every year we are required to disclose the amount of developer fees that we receive. The long story short is every school district is allowed to pass levying developer fees. So that means whenever a new residential build comes up or a new commercial build comes up, these buildings pay the school district for the subsequent students that may enter the district as part of that. So there's a new residential complex that comes up, you would expect more students to come into the district. So this helps to offset that cost. Essentially, it's $5 per square foot for residential buildings and roughly 84 cents per square foot for commercial buildings. Within fiscal year 24-25, we received $244,081.55. Yes.
Is the developer fee a one-time thing? Like they build something and then I'm going to anticipate there's going to be new children coming from this square foot or whatever. I'm going to pay $5 for that square foot for that one child that is anticipated to come.
It is just a one-time fee.
But I am curious. Is this amount like comparable to past years? Is it usually around the same dollar amount?
Yeah, it's usually in the low 100,000s. It's never really in the millions or tens of millions. I believe last year we received around 350,000, if I'm not mistaken. Again, it's not a crazy amount. There have not necessarily been a ton of new developments happening in the area.
Any other questions around developer fees? Sweet. I believe we are done with CBO Matsumoto. Item number 19, 2x2 debrief.
Yes, today we had our 2x2 debrief, 2 trustees from BRSSD, 2 trustees from Sequoia. We had that meeting today, actually literally right before our board meeting. And participating today was Trustee Northrup and President Bruno. And I'll let them speak for the work that we did today.
I would say it's always great to thank you. It's always great to get together with the board members and the superintendent from Sequoia Union, which is the district that Carlmont High School is in, as well as other surrounding high schools, including Menlo Atherton, Woodside, and Sequoia High School, as well as some smaller high schools. So it's always really great to get together with them and talk about issues that may be common because of our geographical area, because of having our students, most of our students move on to Carlmont and Sequoia Union District. So anyway, it's always helpful to talk with them. So today I would say one of the things we focused on was developing our cell phone use policy. So all districts are required to develop a cell phone use policy by, I believe, the end of this school year. And so that's something that we have started to take steps on, and Sequoia Union has as well. So just talking with them about that, what they've done, and yeah, seeing where we go from there. We've already BRSSD has already surveyed the community. And then we'll, continue to develop our plans and move from there.
Can I ask a question about that? Are we planning to align with them on that policy, or was that just a topic of discussion?
I think it was just a topic of discussion. I don't think we necessarily have to align, but it was just a topic of discussion, with also, I think, recognizing that we do have different ages of students, right? So we have TK through 8th grade and they have 9th through 12th grade. So that we may come to different conclusions.
that covered. I was at the same meeting and I experienced the same things. It is always a great opportunity to connect kind of across districts with or ages with fellow board members, kind of like-minded people with just dealing with older kids and older issues. We spent a good amount of time talking about just kind of technology in general, focusing on phones, but realizing kind of what the side effects and aftermaths of whatever direction we choose to go, both at our level and at theirs. Talked about safety for a while, kind of current events and things coming up, and how we handle that. We had, I think it was I enjoyed watching them kind of take in some of our data. I think it was really helpful for them to take a look at it and then think about what a more mature version might look like, or even just kind of being surprised about some of the results, so specifically how our families and staff were thinking around some of our like from our tech survey. Yeah, it's definitely a solid opportunity to connect specifically across with other board members and the superintendent of Sequoia, and Dan's okay.
I'll just add, I will reshare the survey data that we collected last spring with the board. It was an update and a reminder for me. I think my takeaway regarding cell phone is we're probably more alike than we are different in terms of views towards cell phones. I think if I had to say, probably responsible use and encouraging responsible use and helping our youngsters in that way while they're at the school is really the biggest piece. But yeah, I anticipate there will be some alignment there, but maybe also some differences because we cater to different groups of kids at different ages.
That's our 2x2 debrief. And our item number 20, future board meeting agenda items.
Before you board tonight, you see the items that we have on tap for October 16th. We will have School Spotlight. We'll be starting those up again. It will be Redwood Shores. Ed Services will be giving some fall assessment and intervention updates. We'll be reviewing our demographic study results with Tom Williams. CPO Matsumoto will have some GMP. That's an acronym I know, but it's not coming to me this time. You're going to come to my rescue, Reese?
Yes, it's the guaranteed maximum price. Basically, it's part of the contract. It's part of the lease-back process.
And that's regarding DO. August 2025 special board policy updates we'll have coming before the board for a first read. These were policies, I'll just say as things change and as we're asked to update and respond to changes, we update our policy accordingly. CSBA released a special set of updates that'll come through for the first read in October. That was August, and then we'll have September's first read as well. So kind of a combined there. And that's it for the October at this point, and board's opportunity to suggest other topics as needed.
As you just heard, it's an opportunity to suggest other topics. Okay. We are not reconvening the close. We're calling this meeting closed at 8:17 p.m.